So the hot new thing on the market right now is the rare Breed Triggers FRT-15. And let me tell you, it's pretty fun. Personally, I like it more than binary triggers. I think it's a little bit more applicable to a rifle than a binary trigger would be, because you're not having to worry about releasing the trigger and there's a second shot, because that's kind of hard to build that muscle memory and retrain your mind to remember that releasing the trigger is going to loose a round. So the reason I'm doing this video is because I've seen several videos now on YouTube of people who have bought these triggers and have started encountering problems after they seemingly had them running flawlessly. And I don't think anybody has actually figured out why yet they've been encountering malfunctions. I think everybody has been led to believe that it has something to do with their gas system or their buffer system, and that their rifle just ultimately needs to be tuned better for this trigger, even though they've ran several mags through it without any hiccups. So I find myself in the same position. So I have run 5 mags through the rare breed FRT-15 flawlessly. 5 mags, that's 150 rounds. So 150 rounds flawlessly, and then I started encountering problems. Well, that deep into the testing, it's obviously not the gun, and I think everybody wants to think that it's their gun, so they're swapping out buffers, checking their gas block, even though they've already got thousands of rounds through this rifle that they put this trigger in. I'm here to tell you that it is not your rifle. If you got it running and you've gotten several mags through it, it's not your rifle. I promise you, it's not your rifle. It's this trigger, because there is a design flaw to this. And where that flaw comes in is this little lever. Inside here, you'll see a little recess in the lever to capture a spring. Well, on the other side, right here, there's another recess. And so this little guy moves back and forth, but once this trigger is fully assembled, as it should be when you buy it, this lever will not come any further back than it is right now. So it basically swivels from this point to this point. It should not go any further back than that. The only time it can go back this far is if you have disassembled it, and that's the only time you can take that spring out. So let me show you the spring and why we have a problem. That spring doesn't look normal, does it? It does not. So after playing with this trigger yesterday and running into a whole bunch of problems, I tried different ammo, tried different uppers, different buffer weights, and could not get any more than 1 to maximum 2 shots off before you would have to charge the rifle and reload another round after ejecting a good round. So brought it home, disassembled it, and I noticed that the spring was basically being crunched right here, because if you look at this, it moves like this. So this is flat in that direction. The recess for that spring should be going up sort of at a 45-degree angle, not straight back. That is the design flaw right there. So you have a 90-degree angle here, but that's, all fine and well, but in battery, when your BCG is all the way forward and this is in an AR-15 or that type of platform, this will always be pushed forward, which means that pressure is always going to be going up at a 45-degree angle. So having it go straight back is just asking for problems. And overall, this thing is built very well, aside from the problem that I ran into with the spring. So I'm not necessarily telling you not to buy this trigger or that it's a piece of junk, because it's not. They just, I guess, weren't really thinking about it a whole lot when they put that recess in there. You know, I guess in theory it would make sense that those two line up, and that's fine, but when you start thinking about physics and mechanics, well, if this is always moving this way, then that recess should be up at an angle and not directly back. So because this little spring was getting basically crimped and just kind of shredded apart, really, some of the links, I guess we can call them, some of the loops of the spring were getting caught and not allowing this to go all the way back. They were getting stuck about right there. You can see some light towards the back of that lever. It was getting stuck about right there. So this lever could not go forward all the way. It was right here when it needed to be right there. So that is the problem. Unless, of course, you just installed it and your first mag wouldn't even run smoothly. But if you've already run a bunch of mags and a bunch of ammo, don't waste your time changing out 20 different buffers, buying an adjustable gas block. You don't need it. It's the trigger, it's not your gun. So I sent them an email basically illustrating everything that I am here in this video. I'm gonna show you some little doodles that I did to, I guess, better illustrate exactly what I'm talking about with these recesses and their angle for the recess and what would actually be the proper and optimal angle to have this function flawlessly and not run into any future issues. So buyer beware. You honestly, I don't think it's a matter of if it's going to happen to you. It's a matter of when. If you use this trigger enough, sooner or later, this tiny little spring is going to get messed up, and your gun is essentially worthless. You're essentially running a bolt-action rifle. It's a single shot. And I'm not here to talk trash about Rare Breed. Again, I have no qualms with them. But you should know this buying this trigger, because nobody has any idea what's going on when their gun was working fine and then just stops all of a sudden. They start trying different ammo, different buffers. They go out and buy a whole bunch of new parts to just basically completely rebuild the operating system of their rifle when they don't need to. When it's something as simple as a tiny little spring getting caught up, not allowing the full range of motion for this lever. It's getting caught right there, and it needs to be all the way forward to disengage this. So it sits in here like this. If this isn't all the way forward, if it's like that, this cannot pivot up. It has to be all the way forward to give it a little bit of leeway. So there it is. Please pay attention to this video, watch this video. I guess if you're watching it, I can't tell you to watch it because you're already here. But I think it's important that everybody has this information before they go out and buy this trigger. So again, I sent them an email telling them what they need to do to correct this design. Overall, I think it's pretty awesome how they built up this little trigger housing. I think it's a little more clever than most of the drop-in triggers out there. And even this, I mean, that's pretty wicked, huh? We've never seen anything like that before. So, yeah, just anticipate that you're going to run into this problem until they fix the design for the spring channel in here. Sooner or later, it's going to happen to you. This isn't even, it's not even a polished spring, which could have something to do with it. And honestly, I don't think that would be a fix. I think that would just delay the inevitable, putting in a polished spring. But if this does break, look in your parts bin, go online, try and find some similar springs until they can square you away. But I would definitely have some extra ones on board. And I would definitely tell you not to put this in your go-to-war rifle. Do not do it, please, for the love of God. If you have a rifle that you are planning to use to protect yourself if ever the need arised, do not put this trigger in there. Please, for the love of gosh. That's going to be no good for anybody. It's going to be the loudest click you have ever heard in your life. You're going to pull that trigger and nothing's going to happen. And you're not going to know what to do because you're going to be scared. You're going to be stressed out. Adrenaline's pumping. You got tunnel vision. So if you have a spare rifle that you just want to have fun with, hey, this trigger's for you. Try it out. Go have some fun. Definitely record it. Record your very first shots. I would say the very first time you pull that trigger, have a buddy recording you, because you don't know how many shots you're going to get in before it malfunctions. So here, I'll even show you a little clip of my cameraman using it the very first day we took it out, and it's pretty cool. Got the rare breed trigger.
All right, I don't know how this works. I guess it works like that. It's like bump firing itself. It's awesome.
So right now I have the trigger pinned to the rear. It's a rare breed trigger, pinned to the rear. The bolt does not go home.
And it's not locked on the bolt catch.
So here, I'm about to release it a little bit. It should start going off. Ooh. Pin to the rear, so is the bolt. Is that normal behavior for this trigger? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, you converted your AR to open bolt.
See, I released my finger. I'm not holding the bolt with anything else. My support hand was over here, so I'm not riding the bolt catch or anything. So is that normal behavior? All right, so after watching that clip, I will tell you that the harder you hold the trigger down, the slower your rate of fire is going to be. And if you hold the trigger back too hard, if you pin it to the rear too hard with too much pressure, the rifle will stop firing altogether. So at first I thought it was malfunctioning. That was the very first day. That footage is from the very first day we took it out. And I thought it was malfunctioning. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. But at the same time, after kind of analyzing it, it does make sense, because this is not a full auto trigger. So obviously, holding it to the rear would not continue to fire. How you actually get this trigger to work is by charging the rifle, and the trigger is basically set, and then you pull the trigger once, and you have to keep light pressure on it. Light pressure. That's how it works. If you pull too hard, it's going to slow down and eventually stop. So if you want a very fast cyclic rate, just barely pull on that trigger, and just with a little bit of pressure, you can get it to go pretty fast. And if you have it suppressed, it's going to go even faster. But that's something to understand when you're messing with this trigger, that when you're simulating full auto, you're probably getting pumped up, you're getting excited, and you may end up wanting to pull that trigger harder because you're starting to tense up. But you need to try and relax and just let it do its thing. So that was one thing I definitely wanted to tell people about, because that was one thing that really struck me as odd at first glance, but it makes sense. So what you're doing is basically you're pulling this so hard that it's pushing up on this, and not allowing this to move freely. It's pushing up on that, and now this is stuck until you release some of that pressure, and then it can start moving again. So that's what's going on there. And I think that video pretty well illustrated what exactly is happening. So you guys take care, and let me know if you have any questions about this trigger. If you're the ATF, you can screw off. I don't care. This thing isn't illegal, and it's already broken. So, if you want to come take it, have fun. But everybody else, thanks for watching, and you guys stay safe and spend your money wisely.